Hello and welcome to another daily devotion. As this week we are rumbling, tumbling, stumbling through the magical world of Harry Potter. Well, I loved this actor in Die Hard. Hans Gruber, and he was pretty good in Love Actually. But he really plays a very tough role, Alan Rickman, the late great, in the series of Harry Potter as Professor Severus Snape of Slytherin House. The dark, greasy black hair, the monotone, stern looks in the dark arts classes. And he seems to have it out for Harry. He loathes him. He's an enemy, somebody that Harry hates right back and is blaming for all the ways that he's too hard, too unfair. One of the most famous scenes is when Harry first comes to the school and Severus says, "Oh yes, our famous celebrity," and then he mocks him. Clearly, fame doesn't always equal talent, and we see this interaction between the two, this tension between Harry and Severus. And it's not until later in the series that Severus is trying to protect him from the mind manipulation talents of he who shall not be named, at least by me. And on one occasion during their practice, Harry gets upset and gives Snape a little of his own medicine and reads Snape's mind. And here's my point in this devotion, that Harry has made up his mind that Snape is evil, two-faced, a horrible human being. And he's painted him two-dimensionally. He's bad, he's not to be trusted. He's done terrible things with the Death Eaters, and he shall not be named. But then when Harry sees into Severus's mind, something that none of us can physically do, he sees the truth. And the truth is that Severus is much more complicated a figure than any of us imagined. In fact, Harry's father, James, was so cruel and humiliating to Severus as a boy, as a fellow student. Humiliated him, made fun of him, made him fly upside down so his underpants are showing, and made himself look better at Severus's expense. All the while, Severus, this awkward, unusual boy, holds this flame for Lily Evans, who becomes Harry's mother and who James Potter eventually marries. And we see that the truth is that with this love that this awkward child and teen always had, this loyalty of commitment to friendship and a hope for something more that never was meant to be, who lashes out to Harry to say, life isn't fair. I should know, and you should know better. And as Harry sees the truth, something about his own father that he didn't want to know. He sees Snape in a much different way. And we see in this beautiful moment in the movie when Snape and Dumbledore are about to make a very risky calculation and choice, that Albus is convincing him and saying, he has her eyes. Surely you remember Lily's eyes. And he says, don't. Snape says, don't. He pushes him back. Don't go there. He says, I didn't realize you had taken to her son. He says, for him? ? And he lets loose this Patronus charm, and it's a doe, the Patronus of Harry's mother. And as it goes away into this thread, Albus turns teary-eyed to Severus and says, after all this time? And Snape's reply is one word, always. Always. It's a love that sees the offspring of a love and an enemy and does everything in its power to protect. The very real Christian struggle to love like Jesus loves and to struggle with those that we really have a hard time loving. To always, as Paul says, protect, bears all things, hopes all things, believes all things. Know this one who's been labeled as evil and bent is the very vehicle of redemption. That's a very godlike thing. We see it all the time in the scriptures. Noah, drunk, delivers the people. David, wandering eye, best king of Israel and faithful. Peter, loves you to your face, but when you're not looking, boy, stab you in the back, and yet on this rock I will build my church. Nobody's beyond redemption. In fact, those who feel most beyond might be the ones who surprise you the most in the way they come through in amazing love. A lesson in the class of dark arts from Professor Snape.